This is Torah in the Courts of Heaven. The parashah today is Noach, or simply in English we would say Noah. 2 Peter 2:4. For if God did not spare the angels who sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them to the chains of darkness, to be reserved for judgment, and did not spare the ancient world, but saved Noah, one of 8 people, a preacher of righteousness, bringing into the flood on the world of the ungodly. Also, Psalm 24:1. The earth is the Lord's, and all its fullness, the world and those who dwell therein. For he has founded it upon the seas, and established it upon the waters. Who may ascend into the hill of the Lord, or who may stand in his holy place? He who has clean hands and a pure heart, who has not lifted up his soul to an idol, nor sworn deceitfully. He shall receive blessing from the Lord, and righteousness from the God of his salvation. This is Jacob, the generation of those who seek him, who seek your face, Selah. Lift up you heads, O you gates, and be lifted up, you everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, O you gates. Lift up, you everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord of hosts. He is the King of glory. I believe we are the generation of Jacob. It's a small number still, but a remnant. And that's what the Lord has always said, that it would be a small number. He has said that the way to righteousness is a small path, and few will be that find it. And also the way to destruction is a broad path, or a broad way, and many will be there that find it. So in Genesis 6:9 it says, this is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a just man, perfect in his generations. Noah walked with God. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And the charge, you could say from the courtroom standpoint, is corruption. The earth had totally become corrupted. And yet Noah is known as perfect in his generation. Now this doesn't mean that Noah was without sin and he didn't ever do anything wrong, but he was righteous and his heart was to seek for God. And that's what God is looking for, those who will want to serve him. Not that never fail, but that always want what God wants. So God looked upon the earth, and indeed it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way on the earth. And God said to Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, and that's the verdict. So we have the charge, which is corruption of the whole earth, and the verdict is that all flesh has come to an end. For the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Another verdict. Make yourself an ark of gopherwood. Make rooms in the ark, and cover it inside and outside with pitch. This is very interesting when we go and look at these words in Hebrew, because Hebrew, of course, was the original language that these verses were written. And we see such a clear picture when we do this. For example, the one word pitch is the word kopher in Hebrew, and it means to placate or to cancel, to appease, to make atonement, to cleanse, to disannul, to forgive, to be merciful, to pacify, to pardon, to purge away, to put off, to make reconciliation. So, Noah was told to build the ark of gopherwood and then to cover it with pitch. Now, we don't exactly know what this material would be, some sort of tarry substance, something that would waterproof, obviously, the cracks in a wooden boat. But the point was that it was a covering which has to do with atonement, which has to do with mercy. So in essence, Job is painting his ark that God has instructed him to build with mercy. He's painting this boat with mercy. And as the water would destroy the rest of the world, including the animals, even the plants, Job would be saved in the water through mercy. It's a total picture of what God did in Noah's days. So Satan brings accusations, which is just as when he does it to us. So he brought the accusations to the people then, and God allows the mercy to be the thing that deals with these accusations. So as we are given accusations, and sometimes the accusations can even come from our own thoughts. I can't do this. I'm not able. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. All these things are accusations that you may or may not be bringing upon yourself. It could be thoughts that the enemy is giving you, or it could be your own thoughts. Regardless is the point that you need to take these thoughts into the courts of heaven and ask the Lord, through mercy, to change your mind and to change your heart. So Genesis 6:18 says, I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall go into the ark, you, your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you. And basically, as I just said, he's going to show them mercy. They're going to be saved from the rains, from the waters, from the flood, through God's mercy. Then in Genesis 7:1, Yahweh said to Noah, come into the ark, you and your household, because I have seen that you are righteous before me in this generation. And so that word righteous is tzaddiq, which means he's just, he's lawful. He's a righteous man, and basically he's obedient to God. And that's what God is looking for, people who want to obey him. It's the heart's desire. And if that's not exactly who you are, then it's not too late, because you hear this and you can change. You can ask God to change your heart and to give you a heart that wants to serve and worship him. 17 is the number for Messiah. In Hebrew, numbers are very important. They actually mean something. They're not just random, or they're not just nice thoughts. They actually have meaning. They are word pictures in the numbers. So in Genesis 6:17 it says, and behold, I myself am bringing floodwaters on the earth, to destroy from under heaven all flesh, in which is the breath of life. Everything that is on the earth shall die. This is verse 17 of Genesis chapter 6. Then in Genesis chapter 7 and verse 11 it says, in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month. So you see this relation in the 17 of these two verses in Genesis 6:17 and Genesis 7:11, where the number 17 is brought forward. Because, again, the number 17 is the number for Messiah, or in Hebrew, the Mashiach, or as most of us have learned, in Yeshua, Jesus. He is the Messiah of the world, and he is the only way to have true mercy from God. So the same day, all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened, and the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And 40 is the actual number for completion, and also the number for the sentence. So the sentence was done. What was, given as the sentence on earth was complete. It was done. It was finished. It wasn't finished on the first day or the second day of the flood. It took 40 days for this completion to occur. And also going back to the idea of 17 being the number for Messiah. So you see, in essence, you see judgment coming from the Messiah as well as mercy coming from the Messiah. For those who believe and trust Messiah, they're saved. For those who won't believe and refuse his mercy, there will be judgment for them. So Yeshua, or Jesus, is not just the God of kindness and mercy and forgiveness. He is just as well and just as much the God of judgment. And if we don't trust him and believe him for his mercy, we receive his justice and his righteousness and his judgment. So God shut them in. When they were in the ark, God shut them in. Genesis 7:16, and they that went in male and female of all flesh, as God had commanded him. And the Lord shut him in. So that's the accusation, that God was going to shut them in. He's going to take care of them. The slam of the ark door was as the slam of a gavel in heaven's court. The guilty are quickly judged. The righteous are protected. The closure has come, and deliverance is enacted. Proverbs 6:15. Therefore his calamity shall come suddenly. Suddenly he shall be broken without remedy. This speaks of the unrighteous people, that they may seem to be going on like, nothing is ever going to harm them. Nothing's ever going to be against them. All of life is going to be hunky-dory, you could say. And they never trusted God. They've never followed after God. They've only lived life unto themselves, heaping upon themselves the world's wealth, lust of the flesh, all these things, the pride of life, never wanting God, and thinking that judgment will never come. And calamity, it says here, comes suddenly and swiftly. So, again, it's the idea of when that door of the ark was shut, God is the one who shut them in. And I can just imagine a slam when that door shut, and it was never to be opened until the completion of the sentence, when God said, open the ark. And I'm sure God just opened the door and they walked out because the land was dry. It makes us think of another place in the future Torah portions where the children of Israel walked through on dry ground, and yet the Egyptian army would be destroyed in floodwaters. Psalm 73:26. My flesh and my heart fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. So even though our heart fails us, you could say your physical heart, in the sense of your flesh, your actual beating heart, even though that one day that heart will fail, God will stop your heart at some point, yet he is also the strength of your heart. So if you know him, if you know Yeshua, if you've trusted him, then your heart will beat again, but it'll be an eternal beat. It will never stop again, because you will have eternal life. And yes, you will have a human body, just like now, only it will be eternal. It will never see corruption. It will be forever in the Lord. What a wonderful and imaginary thing to think about. But it's not imaginary. It's real. And it will happen someday for those who believe and trust him. And even also, if your heart, such as in your thoughts, your ideas, your sanity begins to fail you, trust in God, and he is your strength. Genesis 11:4 says, and they said, come, let us build ourselves a city. So this is after the flood. You'll know this story mostly. They said, come and let us build ourselves a city, and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth. Now, Genesis 11:7 says, come, let us go down, and there confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of the earth, and they ceased building the city. So, you see, this is the people after Noah, and as they begin to increase in number, they began to be evil again. And the Lord had said in the beginning to populate the earth, to go and populate the earth. His idea wasn't for man to crowd up in like little areas and just crowd on top of each other. His idea was to scatter the seeds and populate the whole earth. And yet these people wanted to be together and build a tower up into heaven. And basically what they're saying is they wanted a one world government, and they wanted to take the place of God. That's never changed. That idea still exists today, and it's actually increasing incredibly right now in our lives. And God is going to do the same thing. He's going to judge it again when He returns. Is your desire for God's heart and His kingdom, or for the kingdom of man? You see, there's a choice you must make. Are you wanting to serve God and His kingdom that's coming, or do you want to serve the kingdom of man? Like the days of Noah, what was Noah's sign? Luke 17:26, and it was in the days of Noah, so also will it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. They ate, they drank, they married wives, they were given into marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark, and the flood came upon them all. So, we must understand that we are living in these days, just like Noah, where men's hearts are not towards God, but towards their own kingdom. So I wonder and I ask, are you really ready for the coming of the Lord? Do you want to serve His kingdom or the kingdom of man?